One of my favorite things to do with my girlfriend is watch weird and strange movies. Bad movies, good movies, whatever. As long as they're weird, strange, and easy to make fun of, we like to watch them. We like to make fun of them. We laugh, we have a good time. And one of the most notable movies that we found is My Grandpa is a Vampire, which might be the greatest thing to come out of New Zealand right after Taika Waititi, Lord of the Rings, Zorbane, the beautiful landscapes. Okay, it's not the best thing to come out of New Zealand, but it's pretty interesting. This movie stars Al Lewis, who you might know as Grandpa Munster from the Munsters. How did they get him? Because no one else in the movie I've ever heard of. It's all people who were not big, who were all like B movie stars. It's not B movie stars, but like B movie level stars, and just yeah. I know one of the characters was in Lord of the Rings, but he was a minor character in Lord of the Rings. So how did they get Al Lewis? How did they get Al Lewis? How? How? The first scene introduces the three of the main characters: Grandpa, Aunt Leah, and Aunt Leah's boyfriend, Uncle Ernie. And it also immediately gets crazy. They take no time. Because Grandpa is going to mess with people, which he will continue to do for the entire movie. He is a menace, and he just loves to mess with people. But then he has a heart attack. Or at least that's how they film it. One, it doesn't make sense because we know he's a vampire. Because at the beginning of the movie, he flies in and he lands and he talks to Aunt Leah and Uncle Ernie, and then he messes with people. And also, the movie is titled My Grandpa's a Vampire, so there wasn't any like speculation when we see him flying in. We know, okay, that's Grandpa. He's a vampire, pretty well established. And also, they don't say he's having a heart attack, but once again, they film it like that. They 100% film it like any other movie would film a heart attack scene or a death scene. Because he goes, he clenches his chest, and he falls over on the ground. But people keep saying, oh, you just fell. You're all right. You just fell. He just had a little fall. But, like, they film like a heart attack because everybody groups around him. The camera pans up to the sky, but he's alive. He's not having a heart attack. They just want you to think that. We literally thought he was dead. I'm not exaggerating when I tell you that we thought that he was dead immediately. Then the next scene, we meet the rest of the main characters. Lonnie, who's Grandpa's grandson, and he's coming to visit his family for an undisclosed amount of time, and his friend Tanjiro, who's just there to meet in the airport and kind of just hangs around like he's always with Lonnie. We do see his home life, but for the most part, he kind of just hangs out with Lonnie all the time. There, we learn that Grandpa is okay, apparently. We just learned a little bit of backstory about Lonnie, but no one really cares. He's like 12. I don't care about his life. I don't care about the life of a 12-year-old. I want to learn about Grandpa.
I tell you, boys, that is the essence of all life. Yeah. Oh, oh. I'm all right.
What's going on in here? Father, get back into bed immediately.
Okay, here's the thing that just doesn't make sense. Grandpa is clearly dying. He is dying. He's like old and decrepit and he's moving slow. But how is he dying? Because we know he's a vampire. We know he's a vampire. And we were just confused about this the entire movie. They don't properly explain it. He's just dying. And how? Because he's a vampire. They're supposed to be immortal. And I'm telling you, they give an explanation, but it doesn't make sense. But here's what we know: that as far as Lonnie and Kanzira and seemingly Aunt Leah know, Grandpa is dying. That's probably why Lonnie came to see them. We also know that his like family's doing other stuff, but he could have gone. But maybe they went to see. They know Grandpa's dying. They want Lonnie to spend a lot of time with him, which suggests that Aunt Leah doesn't know that Grandpa is a vampire. Which, how could she not know? How could she not know? So if the movie hadn't already outright told us that Grandpa was a vampire, this would be the first scene to sort of hint at it. But once again, it literally tells us. Because Kanjiora is looking at these photos, which I don't know how he has them. He's looking at these photos of Lonnie the last time he's here, out front of the house that they took these pictures of him, Grandpa, and Aunt Leah.
I got something really weird to show you. Do you want to see?
Sure.
Where'd you find these?
They fell out of a book from last summer. But look, there's none of your grandfather. Strange, eh? He was sitting in that chair, remember?
So?
Well, where's he gone? People just don't disappear from photos, do they?
And Grandpa's not in the photos. He was clearly there in the chair, but he's not there. And he's like, what? Where is he? Obviously he's a vampire because he's not in the photos. And they ask Aunt Leah about it, and she sort of brushes it off, which tells us that she does know that he's a vampire. And they don't like Uncle Ernie. That's another thing that happens in this scene. Yeah, he comes in the room, and the kids are just immediately uncomfortable. They do not like Uncle Ernie. No one likes Uncle Ernie. Grandpa hates him too. Nobody likes Uncle Ernie. So Kanziora is convinced that Lonnie's grandpa is a vampire, but Lonnie doesn't really believe him, but he's sort of entertaining the idea. He's like, sure, man, whatever. And so he talks to him about it, and Kanziora says two things. Kanziora first says that we should test if Grandpa is a vampire. We should eat garlic, and we should put it in his food or get it near him, because vampires hate garlic, and if Grandpa's a vampire, he'll hate the garlic. And then he suggests that they get holy water, because vampires die from holy water. He says just, oh, well, we will steal holy water from a church, and we'll take it, and we'll pour it in his cereal, so if it's holy water, he'll fucking die, I guess. They want to feed him holy water, like, unsuspecting. And guess which plan they go with? Do they go to the market and buy some garlic and bring it to Grandpa? Or do they go to the church and steal holy water? They steal the holy water, obviously. Because why wouldn't they? It doesn't make sense that they would do the easier thing. They steal holy water from the church. And obviously they get caught, and obviously they get in trouble. So that entire scene was pointless.
You wouldn't be telling lies, would you? Not in God's house. Then show me, boy.
So after the whole holy water incident, Kanziora and Lonnie once again go visit Grandpa, who is supposedly sick and bedridden. And here a few things happen. They once again hint that perhaps he's a vampire because he has dentures with fangs in them, and he quickly hides them when he realizes Lonnie and Kanziora can see them. But why does he have dentures? And also, Al Lewis clearly still has teeth, so I don't know if the implication is that he has two sets of dentures, the human ones and the vampire ones. So he can wear the vampire ones when he's in his true form, and then he wears the human ones when he's pretending to be a human. Or if they just were that lazy and they didn't hide anything about Al Lewis's teeth, and they're just like, no one will notice. No one will notice. But also, why does he have dentures? Because he's a vampire, so why is he losing his teeth in the first place? That doesn't make sense. But whatever. It works, I guess. Then they turn on Mozart and do what I described in my notes as stupid-ass dance. And I agree with myself from back then, which is last night, because it is a stupid-ass dance. It's like they're just basically just prancing around the room, and they're enjoying the shit out of it, dude. They're giggling and prancing in the room like they're 5. They're basically 5-year-olds, even though they're 12, because I'm pretty sure Kanziora's going through puberty because they mentioned as a growth spurt. And also, Grandpa is hundreds of years old because he's a vampire, and he's also just a grandpa, and they're already old. And Grandpa sort of he basically gives away that he's a vampire because he's going this around the room, and he's turning all the candles on. He's lighting all the candles by going do-do-do-do-do. And the kids are loving it. They're like, oh, he's magic, he's magic. And they're just having a good time, basically. Until the windows or the doors accidentally open, and the sun comes in, and he's like, ah! He's basically dying. And they think that he's dying because he is, even if he's not a vampire. Even as a vampire, the sun is killing him. He's dying. Okay, they call Aunt Leah in, and they don't explain this. All right, spoiler: they reveal later on that Aunt Leah is not a vampire. How? She comes in, she looks at the door, and it closes, and the curtains close. Just by looking at this, I noticed this the first time I watched it with my girlfriend, and we pointed it out, and we were questioning it. We didn't go back, but then when I was watching it again for this video, I made sure to make extra attention that, oh, maybe we were just weren't paying enough attention, and she did close them. No, she looks at them and she closes it, and they don't explain how Grandma is psychic. Aunt Leah, sorry, how they don't explain how Aunt Leah is psychic. She's just psychic, and there's no explanation, and it's never brought up again. She never does anything else psychic. She's not a vampire. I'm telling you, she's not a vampire. She's a witch. Aunt Leah is a witch, and they don't address it. And then Grandpa dies. Grandpa fucking dies. For real, apparently. Because Aunt Leah's sad about it, even though she knows that he's a vampire. She's crying, he's dead. And dude, I think they actually make that kid cry. Lonnie? Because he's like actually like
You'll be wondering
sniffling,
where I
and
am.
like you can see the tears coming down his face.
He was a nice old
I
guy.
think they actually made that kid fucking cry. Either that, or he's like a really talented child actor. Because even then, like later on in the scene, he goes and he talks to his mom on the phone, and it takes him a minute. He's obviously trying to make himself cry. You can see that, but then he does it because once again he's like sniffling up, but like it's like he can't control it. Like this kid knows how to make himself cry. Basically, is what I'm saying. Either that, or they know how to make the kid cry, and that's fucked up. At Grandpa's wake, we have another one of the weirdest scenes in the movie, where a lady who is at least middle-aged, she looked like she could even be a little old, hits on Lonnie and Kenji Uriah. They are 12. And there is a middle-aged woman hitting on them. She's like across the room, and she's like making faces, like she's like, ooh, and it's weird. And she like comes over to them, and she's like kind of like moving in on them, and she's like, they're nervous because she's hitting on them, and they are 12. They kind of back away, and they back away into this other important character. So I guess that's just why they did the plot device to set up this character, but they didn't have to set up away. But anyways, they back up, and they bump into this guy. He's a police chief, basically. And dude, somehow we both missed this the first time we watched it. But his name is Sergeant Dick Ticker. Dick Ticker. But even at the wake, Kenji is not convinced that Grandpa is human. He still thinks that Grandpa is a vampire, and he's still trying to talk about it. So they want to investigate Grandpa's body to see if he's really dead. They legitimately go to the coffin at the wake and see if he's really dead. And he seems to be. Until after the wake, where I guess he comes back to life. That's what they say, but it doesn't make sense. He comes back to life, and he freaks the shit out of them because he loves to mess with people, even Lonnie. Right after Lonnie thought he was dead, he still messes with them. And Kenji was kind of proud that he knew he was right. And so they explain for the first time what happened, and it doesn't make any sense.
But I was different. You see, I chose to live the human life, the path from birth to decay and death. But I should have known. We always return.
And what the fuck does that mean? How did he do this? When did he do this? How does a vampire choose to live the mortal way? They're vampires. Can they just be humans? I don't think so. I don't think I've ever heard a vampire just deciding to be human. And then they're like, alright, cool, I'm human. Then that's just how they explain it. To celebrate Grandpa's revival, I guess, and the fact that he's a full-fledged vampire again, apparently, that doesn't make sense, but whatever. They do that stupid-ass dance again, and then he takes them flying, which actually has some pretty impressive aerial shots, given the fact that this is a movie from the 90s that seemed to have a pretty low budget. But they're flying around, and they crash, apparently. They don't really explain it. They keep, showing the shot of the moon, and so it suggests that either the moon being out or the moon being covered weakens his powers, which moons are werewolves, not vampires, but whatever. They crash, and they crash into Ernie's house, where Ernie and Aunt Leah are about to fuck. I mean, they don't, explicitly say that, but, obviously that's what's about to happen. But why did she leave him? Okay, I get it. Like, I'm not one of those people who think that a child can't be left alone at all. Like, I was left alone and I was fine. But his grandpa just died. Your father just died. And you're going to leave your grandson alone to go hang out and do stuff with your boyfriend. Kind of irresponsible to me. But Uncle Ernie comes out there. He thinks that there's a burglar. And Grandpa scares the shit out of him.
Get away from me, you bloody demon!
And he thinks it's the funniest thing in the world. And from this point on in the movie, Ernie wants nothing more than to fucking kill Grandpa. He is so determined to kill Grandpa, man. He's calling him a monster and he's alive. And he could be calling him a beggar. And Ernie hates Grandpa, and so everybody hates Ernie. Ernie wants to kill Grandpa so bad, dude. Holy shit. The next part of this movie is basically just Grandpa being a nuisance and menace. They have him stay at Kanjuro's shed behind his house because he doesn't want to go home. And then he wakes up in the middle of the night and goes to Kanjuro's window and just like keeps waking him up. And he's like, I'm thirsty. So he makes Kanjuro get him a drink. And then he drinks and he has to pretend, and Kanjuro has to pretend to be sleepwalking. So his dad doesn't question what's going on. Then they realize that they can't do that. They have to mess around. They have to hide him. They dress him up like a mummy, basically, to hide him from the sunlight so they can move him during the day. And they hide him in this cave. And he's like, oh, I need stuff. I'm weak. He keeps talking about how weak he is, which is a bit ridiculous because you're a vampire. Stop being weak. Do something about it on your own. Don't make a bunch of kids do it for you, dude. But they stay in this cave. He makes them get alcohol for him, which is just all kinds of mess. Hey, 12-year-old boy, get alcohol. I don't actually know what the drinking age is in New Zealand. I assume that's probably like 18, 16, like Europe, most of Europe, even though it's not part of Europe. But, is Europe part of Australia? Like that, what continent it's in? That's a good question. Someone in the comments tell me what continent Australia's in. I'm assuming no, not Australia, New Zealand. But basically, yeah. So he's a menace. He makes him get this. And then eventually, Ernie shows up to kill him. He has a bunch of stakes, his own stakes, and Grandpa kind of just messes with him more. Then they go to McDonald's at the boy's request, and this is where shit really goes down. Because after they basically force-feed him blood, Grandpa becomes bloodthirsty and is more than ready to just fucking kill Uncle Ernie. He goes for the bite. He's only saved by Sergeant Ticker, Dick Ticker, and Aunt Leah showing up at the same time very conveniently. Dick Ticker separates them, and Aunt Leah gets him in the car with a cross, and she is ready to kill him. She takes him to the family burial grounds where Ernie's already waiting, ready to kill him, and Aunt Leah's ready to kill him too. But something changes in her heart. I guess, like once she was really presented with the reality that she's gonna kill her father, she's like, "All right, fine, I'm not gonna kill Grandpa." And then this is where this shit happens. And now we're finally at the climax of the movie, which takes place back at the fairgrounds from the beginning. Ernie is still not done trying to kill Grandpa, and Dick Ticker doesn't really know what's going on, so he's kind of following Ernie just to see what's going on. They corner Grandpa back at the fairgrounds, and they interrupt a performance of a hula song, Red Pooh, by Kanjuro's sister and her friends, that they've been practicing earlier in the movie. They almost ruin the entire show, but after they clear the stage with the sisters, Grandpa is once again a menace, and he like throws them up basically onto the stage lights and zaps them around while dancing, and everybody loves it, dude. And why? Like, I guess the entire town hates Ernie and Dick Ticker, I guess, because they are celebrating the fact that he's like zapping them with the lights, and like he could kill them, and they're just like, woo, yeah, woo. But Grandpa gets overzealous, and they let's come down and crash him, and they do it again. They make it seem like Grandpa dies at the fairgrounds because he falls around. It's like he's weakened. He's defeated by the lights falling down on him. He's like, "I've been a naughty boy, haven't I?" That's not in the New Zealand accent. That's okay. But they film it once again with a painted shot like he's dead. I need you guys to understand that my girlfriend and I went into this scene with the assumption that Grandpa was dead, because why would they fake us out 3 times that he was dead?
Grandpa!
Isn't he magnificent?
Lonnie. Penziori. Come.
And dude, I kid you not, we fucking thought they stuffed him. We thought they stuffed Grandpa. He died and they stuffed him so they could live on forever. But no, he's fine. And if he's maybe after he's like, come here, and he just leaves. I guess he goes to Transylvania because he says he's leaving to go and stay with other vampires. Which, whatever. it's the end of the movie. There's no proper resolution to any of the conflicts other than the fact that Leah breaks up with Ernie after she feels really regretful about trying to kill Grandpa. So yeah, the movie kind of just ends, really. There's no real ending. I guess Grandpa just gets away with being a menace, and he gets to live with the vampires, and Ernie gets kicked out because he's a loser who nobody likes. So that was My Grandpa's a Vampire, a very bizarre and very, very confusing movie that just really fit the Halloween theme. It's October, you gotta do something scary, vampires are scary, and it's just, more people need to know about that movie. If you liked the video, leave a comment, subscribe, leave a like, and look out for my next video where I drink the fluid out of a Magic 8 Ball.